It feels like a second chance. It feels like I have finally started to live. Like my life started at age 41. You appreciate so much the little things, like being able to walk. What a gift to be able to do that. Today I went and did groceries, just pushing the cart and doing that independence and just living a normal life that I never thought that I would ever live. Hi, my name is Jésica. My friends call me Jessie. Sadly, chronic pain started very early in my life. It started when I was 12 years old, and it started with neck pain. So it was first neck pain, and then it would go down to my shoulders. My face would hurt so much. My facial skull. Also, I remember when I was 18 and I was in high school, my back would hurt so much, and I had sciatica. I was only 18, pretty unusual. So I remember that made me feel very different from others. I noticed early in life that I was different, and I felt that made me very sad that I didn't fit. And when you have chronic pain, like for example, in high school, I remember that I had to use the teacher's seat because it was better for my back, and being different in that way was hard. And not understanding where the pain was coming from. And of course, that's when I started going to the doctors with my mom. And I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia when I was 18. So I remember when I was in college, I had to ask for accommodations because the pain was so severe. Like I had to take tests on my own. I had to take breaks and lay down because I was in so much pain. And what I felt back then was like deep pain in like all of my muscles. My muscles were just like on fire. There was a lot of suffering. But as time continued, it got even worse because then my hands started hurting tremendously to the point where I couldn't at times like eat. I needed help holding the fork, cutting, of course. I needed help getting bathed because I couldn't hold the sponge and just do movement. So that's how severe, insane it was. Just tremendous amount of pain, highly debilitating, and life, like the simplest things, just grabbing a pen and writing, or forget about typing, and that was impossible. But even like putting on earrings, cutting my own nails, those were things that I couldn't do anymore. Even brush my teeth, I remember it was extremely difficult. So, and of course, in the midst of all of this, you go to a lot of doctors, but doctors don't find answers, which is soul crushing. So many times I left the doctor crying because you want an answer. You want like, just tell me what's going on and give me a diagnosis and then a cure, right? But it felt hopeless. I remember that one of the first memories of seeing a doctor when I was 18, the one that diagnosed fibromyalgia, he said like, oh, that's stress, you're stressed. But there's not much that they were offering besides medication. I can assure you that I had like all kinds of, like all the meds. I know them all. I try them all. For me, going to the doctor started to be something terrifying. I was terrified of not being believed. I felt so small. I felt because my symptoms were so severe, like they were like I thought they were ridiculous because I couldn't like even tolerate being caressed or holding my husband's hand. So I felt like there was something wrong with me. Like I started feeling like, am I crazy? This is all my fault. I was so ashamed. I was ashamed of sharing my symptoms because even to the doctor, because sometimes I could see it that they were like, it was hard to believe, right? So that makes you feel incredibly lonely and desperate and hopeless. And just going to the doctor was difficult because I was just deeply afraid of not being believed, or not necessarily that doctors weren't nice. I think it was like an inner fear, right? And sadly, things continued to get worse, like I said. And if the hand pain wasn't enough, in addition to all of the other pains I told you that I had, and I also started experiencing foot pain in both my feet, in my ankles, and all my feet. It was sudden, and to the point where I couldn't take more than 1, 2, 3 steps at a time, zero. So I was forced to buy a wheelchair, an electric wheelchair, and this was, I think it was 7 years ago when this started. And I was in the wheelchair for 5 years. 5 years, I had to quit my job as a teacher. The neck pain was so severe that I couldn't tolerate just tilting my neck just a little bit outwards. And imagine you're in a wheelchair, everybody is higher than you, so you need to be able to lift your head. But it was so painful, and I would get dizzy. And at the same time, I couldn't sit for long because of the sciatica. So I was literally, I would sit for 1 minute, stand up. But then my feet were in excruciating pain, so I needed to sit. So then I would stand and sit, and I was so embarrassed. I was deeply embarrassed, and that made me like to hide a little bit from the world, right? I was just embarrassed to be in public and to have to explain why am I getting up and why am I sitting constantly every minute, or why I am in a wheelchair, but people all of a sudden see me like stand up, like oh she walks like it was just it made me feel so different in a very bad way. And it got so bad, so bad, so insane that I was homebound. For the last year, I was homebound. I would barely leave the house just to go to the doctor. I would need to lay down in the car. My husband will carry me in his bag. And I remember, like, I didn't want people to see me, like, getting out of the car because I was laying down. I was just, that is very sad. And I suppose a lot of people feel like that some of us, the symptoms are so incredibly insane that you feel like, oh, this is, like, I should be stronger. What's wrong with me? So it was one of those desperate days out of many that I just went to the computer and asked, like, recommend me books by doctors and healthcare workers specialized in chronic pain, right? And guess what book came up? Alan Gordon's book, The Way Out. And it just kept coming up, coming up. It's like, okay, I'll buy it. And I bought an audiobook because for me, before, I couldn't even like flip the pages. Book. I was excruciating to flip the pages. So it's like I would just listen to books. So I started listening, and it was like, I don't know how to explain it. Sometimes I say it was kind of like a religious conversion, like a religious experience. It had nothing to do with religion, but I mean, like, it was like whoa, like it's like all this knowledge, poured down. Like, I really got it. It didn't take a lot of time to convince me that that's what I had, meaning neuroplastic pain. It was like, yes, yes, yes. Like I think this is what I have. I think and it made sense. It made sense. I knew that doctors weren't finding anything besides it's fibromyalgia or stress. It's like it made sense. It made total sense to me, and it gave me hope. For the first time, I was like, wow, now I understand that my body is not broken. I am not fragile. There's absolutely nothing wrong with my feet, because that was like the worst pain I had was the feet and the head. So I focus a lot on that. My feet are not broken. I can walk. It's my brain. It comes from my brain. So, and then I was filled with hope because not only I had an answer, but also a cure. There's a way out. There's a way to get out. And I was like, okay, like let's just dig deep and let's understand how this is done. So that's when I downloaded Curable, and that was it was the best thing I could have done. I started listening first to the educational audios and really yes, get very familiar with all the science. And then I just started doing the different exercises that you can do. I heard the audio on Somatic tracking so many times. I cannot even to tell you, like every day, several times a day, I would listen to it because it was so good. I would just go back to it again and again. And also there's an audio there that is called Providing Reassurance to the Body. Those two, I always like go to them every day. Thanks to what Curable was teaching, I felt that I had control again. Like, it gave me the knowledge to understand what was happening to me and what to do about it. My identity, my whole life, was as a chronic pain sufferer. Fragile, hopeless, breakable, like can do this, can do that. And thanks to when I started listening to Curable and all that he had to teach, it started empowering me. Like, okay, I'm not broken. This is my brain that is sending pain signals in the absence of damage. So I understand that then I am free to move. I am free to start doing all the things that I thought I couldn't. Curable is a wonderful tool because it guides you step by step, right? First, with the education, which is so important at first. That for me was the first step, is getting educated about the science of chronic pain. But then started using the tools. So for me, what was very powerful, one of the tools was looking for inconsistencies, looking for proof that the brain is being inconsistent. Like, how come it sends me pain in this context but not in this one? It empowers you. It's like, oh, aha, got you, brain. You're being consistent. Like, it gives you proof. It gives you reassurance. Like, no, you're actually healthy. You're strong. You're good. It is your brain. It's all the brain sending these signals. So that for me was key. And gathering all that information. And also it all actually kind of happened in a very special day for me, because that day I was listening to Curable educational audios, and I listened to a testimony there, an audio, the very first one I heard, which was by a man. I don't remember his name, but I was so inspired. And I was like, yes, he did it. I can do it. I can do it. So I started recording videos of the inconsistencies that I was finding, and that gave me courage. And I said, you know what? For the first time in 5 years, like, I just got out and I said, I'm going to start walking, and just started walking like small circles around the house. And I was saying, there's nothing wrong with my feet. My feet are not broken. They're not going to break because I'm walking. I'm not going to damage them. They're not damaged. I am healthy. I'm strong. I am okay. I can walk, all those messages of so that was the beginning. Then on, I just started taking baby steps, baby steps forward. I would do more and more every day. And it's not that the pain disappeared like magically. It's not like that. It is a process. It takes time. I was lucky in the sense that, because I was so convinced, part of me was so convinced that like it translated into a very big reduction of the pain right away. Like, maybe let's say 50%. It was instant. It usually doesn't happen like that. But then the other 50%, that was more like normal process, like slow and steady. There were days that I was better, and then the next day I was worse. But you have to persevere. And it was like little by little I will do more. Like, my first steps around the house, and then I dare to leave the house and start walking around the neighborhood. Just step by step. One thing that Curable has taught me to do is to use my imagination. Like, it gives you the power of visualization, and I am a pretty imaginative person. So that helped me a lot. And from day one, I was using visualization a lot. So even before I started walking, before my first steps, I would visualize myself dancing around the house. Like, I would jump on the couch and dance on the couch, and from the couch to the table, dance at the just like humorous, because humor is very important, right? It helps us to lower our fears. I would go up the steps, skipping steps. I was just all around the house, and I was imagining doing that in a wheelchair. So, and I would imagine it again and again with details, because I was taught that the brain doesn't differentiate between what you imagine and what you do for real, right? That rewire your pathway. So that was very, very helpful. So when I really started walking, it was shocked, but maybe it wasn't as shocked. Like, okay, we've been here before in our imagination. Basically, every day I think, is this a dream? Is this true? It feels like a second chance. It feels like I have finally started to live. Like my life started at age 41. You appreciate so much the little things, like being able to walk. What a gift to be able to do that, because I grieved not being able to walk continually. It's so painful. And just freedom, just today I went and did groceries, just pushing the cart and doing that independence and just living a normal life that I never thought that I would ever live. You full of joy and gratitude. And me personally, what I feel is that I want to, like, I don't know how to express it, like, I want to conquer the world, meaning like I just want to do it all the things that I thought it were impossible. I want to do them. At the same time, I'm still continue to do all these things, the somatic tracking, and especially for me, what has worked a lot is progressive exposure. You show your brain that you are capable of doing more than it thinks, and then it resets itself, it recalibrates. So I can see even now how my abilities are becoming bigger and bigger. I think that the greatest gift that I've been given is to completely change my understanding of pain. And I am so grateful for that because, of course, I have pain. We always have pain. Pain is part of being human. But what has changed completely is how I understand it. I understand now about neuroplastic pain, and when I experience pain, I see it very differently. And that translates into the pain leaving much than before. It's like it could last just an hour, it could last 3 days at most, but no more. That's it, because I work on showing the brain that we're safe. Okay, you use somatic tracking, to explore the sensations with curiosity. Like, and that has a tremendous impact on whether the pain stays or leaves. Like, it sounds crazy, but at times I even see it as it's a message. It's a message. It's an important message. It's like even like a message of love from our body that cares for us to communicate something. And of course, none of this I knew before. None of this. All of this I have learned thanks to Curable. One of the main messages I would like to transmit to whoever's listening is that don't think that, oh, this happened to her, happens to other people, it won't happen to me, which we tend to think that. But not at all, not at all. This is your story too. And just the way I did it, you can do it. And my greatest desire is that this will give hope to others, encouragement, the way I received it, just to pass it on. Don't give up. It is a process. It's not magic, it's work, but it's exciting work. Just take it one step at a time. Love yourself so much. That was such an important step to me. Treat yourself with a lot of kindness and compassion. Just show up every day, just do your work, just like a tiny bit. It adds up.